Hello everyone, and welcome to my tutorial on how to beat every single stage in the Japanese Super Mario Bros. 2, commonly known as the Lost Levels, as Luigi. In this guide, we will be looking at strats and potential power-up recovery spots, which will help grant you a time of under 38 minutes. This video can also serve as a tutorial on how to beat the game Warpless up to 8-4 in under 23 minutes. With that out of the way, let's get started. First off, I'd like to talk for a minute about load times. There are 5 loading points in the run that we will take out of our official leaderboard time. They are between 4-4 and 5-1, between the 8-4 axe grab and Peach appearing on screen, between the celebration screen and the start of 9-1, between the World 9 Game Over screen and the title screen, and lastly, between the title screen and A-1. These loading times vary depending on what hardware you use. There is a guide on the Lost Levels leaderboard that covers approximate loading times for all of the approved hardware on the leaderboard. I'll leave a link to that in the description. Before we begin, I'd like to talk about how fireworks behave in this game. In this game, fireworks occur when the last digit of your coin count matches the last digit of your time. If that number is odd, you will receive 3 fireworks, while an even number gives you 6. If the coin count is a multiple of 11, you will get a 1-up alongside the fireworks. Starting off in 1-1, jump over the first paratroopa. Since Luigi accelerates slower than Mario, he cannot make it under this guy. Jump on top of these question mark blocks, and at the very edge, do a full jump to land just before the triple Goombas. Hold left slightly after the staircase to make it easier to time your next jump. Towards the end, don't even use this Koopa to bounce over the plant. Use Luigi's extra height to make it over. One 1-2 is pretty simple. Jump over the first plant. Start holding left right before you land and jump, so that way you're not rubbing on the wall as much when you bounce off the Goomba. After that, just run up top until you reach the end pipe. When you jump onto the bridge before this red paratroopa, do a small jump. If you jump too far and land too close to the paratroopa as a result, when you go to super bounce off him you will be too close and die. As you're falling next to this question mark block, hold left to slow yourself down sooner. Remember that Luigi takes longer to slow down than Mario. Try to avoid running too far to the left so you don't miss the mushroom grab. If you're too slow, you will have to run off the tree and grab the mushroom without jumping. If you are too early, you will have to jump into the mushroom. Once you grab the mushroom, you'll need to perform a double jump. To do this, ensure that you're not holding A when Luigi grabs a power-up. During the transformation, Start holding A again, and don't let go until you see Luigi jump again. For this power-up grab, do a big jump over to the question mark block. Once you hit it, walk to the left edge and jump into the fire flower. On the very left edge of this firebar block, do a full jump to bonk into the ceiling. This will land you neatly on the bottom step. Jump in between these two firebars and jump again. This makes it easy to get past Bowser's first flame without getting hit. Duck jump off this firebar, and as soon as you land, hold left. After sliding for a moment, start duck jumping over these pillars. You should barely be able to get out of the way before the flame hits you. This part is extremely important. In castle stages like this, where the Bowser area is mostly open, you want to release B once Luigi enters the bridge. After releasing B, do a full jump and start shooting at Bowser. Note that this is a very bad idea to hold left when approaching Bowser. You're just going to slide right into him. In 2-1, jump above these question mark blocks. Jump over this platform and next to the green spring. Jump on the left edge of this pipe to hit the vine block. Then, bop this paratroopa below the question mark blocks. Take out these two paratroopas. Jump up to these 3 blocks. Once Luigi is in between the first and second block, do a full jump. You'll land right on the second paratroopa. Tap left briefly while making these jumps up to the stairs, since these jumps can be kind of tight given the Goomba placement. If you did everything correctly, you should have despawned the flag. The most important thing to note in 2-2 is where the climb is. Jump off this brick and snipe the red Koopa Troopa. Release B before you land on the ground. Hit the block, hold right just before you jump, and make it over the pipe. Two 3 is a fairly simple level. I like to shoot this first paratroopa since he can turn around if a flying fish collides with him. Dodge any cheap cheeps that are headed straight for you. Snipe this blooper as well. Don't do a backwards jump into this wall, since Luigi's poor acceleration makes that way of jumping slower. When running off this edge, make sure you are holding down as you slide off. This way, Luigi is technically still ducking despite having a standing sprite. This is important since sometimes if you're holding right, Luigi won't make it in that little gap, and fall into the lava. Do a big jump over this gap. Pay attention to these fire bars and take them slow. Don't jump over them until they are under the ground you're running on. At first, it can be a little difficult to tell whether it's a good idea to run under this potaboo, but if you can see it go inside the ceiling, then you can run under it. Release B before landing on this fire bar to slow yourself down for these potaboos. Just like last time, slow yourself down before approaching Bowser. In 3-1, jump over these holes. Since there is an invisible block in here, the blocks adjacent to them will not have hitboxes, and you will fall through them. At this bullet cannon, wait until you're right up on the launcher before jumping. A lot of times, a bullet bill will shoot right when you're planning to jump. In 3-2, I'm going to talk about two different ways of swimming, normal and duck swimming. In this game, if you're underwater and you press A to swim while ducking on a surface, the game treats this as if you are duck jumping underwater, where your hitbox is reduced to the size of a ducking Luigi. Since the developers never designed a ducking sprite for underwater levels, you keep the same sprite but have a reduced hitbox. Starting with normal swimming, the most important rule I can give is to hold left to slow down if you're failing to fire kill an enemy. Kill only the enemies that are in your way. At the end, if the blooper goes left, take the top route. Take the bottom route if he goes right. The top can be easier for both swimming methods since you can easily fireball enemies. Now with duck swimming. At the very end of this batch of blocks, activate duck swimming. You want to activate it late because on occasion, a troll cheap cheep will spawn right in front of you, and activating duck swimming too early will make it almost impossible to not get hit. As duck swimming, taking either the top or bottom route at the end isn't super important, preferably the top route since it can be harder to kill enemies if you take the bottom route. On these first two elevators in 3-3, make a big jump on the first one to clear the gap. At this set of 4 coins, jump between the last 2 coins. There is a troll invisible block in the middle of this tree, and it can easily mess you up if you're not careful. Three 4 is the first castle maze level. For the first part, take the bottom route. Before the Potaboo, jump up to the second bottom path. Before you run off these blocks, release B and fireball this clant with no speed. Then, up top, hold left about halfway to the end of these blocks. We will use Luigi's slipperiness to time our landing to be right under the invisible coin block. What I do is climb up to the top. I try to get Luigi moving a bit before making my jumps. It makes these jumps much easier to complete. I release B once I see these stairs, since the next fire bars can be a little trolly. As Luigi is falling off the top, shoot your opening shots. Right before the Potaboo, release B and do a full jump while firing away at Bowser. Four 1 is a fairly simple level. On this staircase, hold left before shooting at this spiny. If you don't do a slight slowdown here, you will most likely get hit. Also do a slight slowdown on the last staircase with this Goomba for the same reason. Four 2 is also pretty easy. On this tall pipe, sometimes a red plant can spawn, so be aware that he won't always despawn. If this final hammer bro jumps high, release B and repress B when you can fire kill him on the ground. If you try to plow through him, your window to shoot a fireball and kill him is extremely narrow. Floor 3 is a lot easier with Luigi than Mario. On this tree before the bullet bill, do a big jump to land on the elevator above. On the second elevator, do another big jump. These big jumps will make the two hardest jumps in the stage much easier to complete. I always duck jump off this elevator because sometimes a bullet bill will spawn very low, and if you're not ducking, you can get hit. Thanks to Luigi's slow acceleration, opening like the one in 4-4 can be tricky. When you land on the second step, tap left to slow down. Hold right again on the lowest step. Once Luigi is lined up with this firebar block, hold left. On this elevator, make sure you are holding down when you run off. Much like in 2-4, land on this single block as far left as possible. It can be harder to dodge these flames as Luigi. Slow down while you're falling onto the bridge so you don't accidentally run into Bowser. There aren't a whole lot of things to cover in 5-1. Do a medium to big jump off this last wall to land on the bullet cannon. Jump over these two red piranha plants. Don't fire kill any more enemies after this point, since you can mess up the positioning of the paratroopas. For the super jump, duck jump between these two paratroopas. When passing this last mushroom on the ground, release B to walk under this first paratroopa. As the second paratroopa is landing on the ground, jump off him. You should be able to clear the wall afterwards. In 5-2, slow down before the second piranha plant. Once he comes out again, fire kill him. After these coins, slow down before the next red plant. Usually this first red plant here will be despawned. At the end, don't release B, since if you lose your speed, you will more than likely fall into these holes. Same thing if you bonk on this pipe. In the first room of 5-3, at the halfway point on this tree, do a full jump to land next to the above pipe. Land next to the pipe so you don't run into the red piranha plant. In the final room, run up to these coins and release B. Then, jump and shoot the blooper while not running. This will set you up to not be in the way of the troll bullet bills. "5-4 is one of the hardest castle stages to do as Luigi. Take these first two potaboos slow. Going up top here, bonk on these blocks since sometimes the potaboo can shoot up really high and hit you. Wait at this fire bar. Once it is nearly pointed straight up, make sure you are moving a bit first and then duck jump over it. This is the hardest part of the level. Next, play it safe with these two fire bars. Don't rush them. Slow down a bit for these potaboos because they can go up very high and potentially hit you. Do a full duck jump at the end of these blocks. After the fire bar, shoot your opening shots. Right after, to get on the bridge, duck slide under the potaboo to slow down enough so you can avoid running into Bowser. At this pipe in 6-1, there is an invisible coin block next to this pipe. Just like how in 3-1, we had to do an extra jump over the invisible blocks since the surrounding blocks don't have hitboxes. You can run straight through the pipe here thanks to this invisible coin block. Afterwards, jump over these pipes. If the hammer is above the bricks, slow down at these paratroopers and fire kill the second guy. If the hammer bro is on bottom, jump over these two paratroopers and brush against the pipe to fall down. Much like how in 3-2 we went over 2 ways of beating the level, I am going to do the same thing for 6-2, our second underwater level. Starting again with normal swimming, don't hold left the whole time when falling downward, since you will be pushed to the right thanks to the current. This can increase your chances of getting hit by a fish. When you are under this first block, start holding left to slow yourself down enough so you don't pass this hole. Preferably, you take the top route since enemies are less likely to spawn up there. Like what happened here, if there are any troll enemies in your way, always wait them out. It's not worth the power-up loss. Now with duck swimming. When you land on this ground next to the coral, activate duck swimming. Like before, hold left early so you do not miss this hole. If enemies are in your way up top, land on the ground to get fireballs back and shoot them. Then, reactivate duck swimming. In 6-3, don't challenge any flying fish that are headed right for you. This will take experience to learn where fish will be landing based on their positions in the air. Fireball any Koopas and paratroopas that are in your way. At this question mark block, you will usually want to go over it, but if there are any fish in your way, duck jump onto the paratroopa to avoid getting hit. On this last bridge, do a full jump over this paratroopa. The start of 6-4 is much like the start of 4-4. Press left on the second staircase and hold right on the third. Stand on the right side of this pipe and wait for the firebar to be directly lined up with your feet before running forward. The duck slide under this pipe will be a little tight. Jump way up top here above the hammer bro. Sometimes Luigi won't make it in this gap, so if you want, you can wait for the potaboo to go down and jump through the hole up ahead. Wait on this firebar and fall down to the left of this pipe. Wait until this first red plant pops out and then fire kill him. After the second pipe, release B and duck jump around the fire bar. Hold B again upon landing on this next platform and advance through the next part. This will set the large fire bar up perfectly for you to avoid slowing down for it. When you land on these blocks before the potaboo, shoot your 2 opening shots at the halfway point. Once you are directly under the potaboo, hold down to lose speed and avoid getting hit by Bowser. At the start of 7-1, fire kill these 2 Koopa Troopas. Brush up against the first upside down pipe and fireball the Koopa. Jump off this pipe and shoot 2 fireballs to take out the Hammer Bro. Stay back since you most likely won't hit the Paratroopa. Run under him. Play this launcher safe since it likes to shoot a bullet bill a lot of the time. Wait on this platform until the timer says 392 before running and jumping over the question mark block. In the third room, shoot 2 fireballs as soon as you land. Jump to the second topmost step and bounce off the right side of Lakitu. Don't bounce off the left side of him, since that gives him time to throw a troll spiny at you. When you make this jump up to the final elevator, tap left immediately after jumping so you do not bonk into it. In 7-3, we're going to use the timer to time our left presses so we can land on the springs in the best way possible. For our first landing, hold left when the timer says 385 and 382. Start holding right once Luigi appears on screen again. For the next landing, start tapping left once the third pair of blocks appears. For the third landing, after this pipe, use the 3 key notes in the music to time your left presses. Unless you are way over on the left edge of the spring, you should be able to skip the last spring and land right on these coins. In 7-4, jump on these first two elevators and then over the following two. Wait out this next fire bar. Wait on the left side of this first fire bar. Bop the second Buzzy Beetle and wait until this fire bar is about halfway up the wall you're standing on. Make sure to hold down while you are falling, since you will get hit by the fire bar if you do not. Once you arrive at this low fire bar, land as far left as possible and jump again. Sometimes Bowser's flames can make it really hard to jump over them, so you want to have as much time to jump as possible. Once the lava is about gone from the left side of the screen, shoot your opening shots. Release B to slow down once you are entering the bridge. If it appears that it would be a nightmare to challenge Bowser, stay far away from him and shoot at him from a distance. For this first snipe in 8-1, hold left slightly before reaching the piranha plant. Slow down before these two paratroopers and fire kill at least the first guy. Bop the first and third red paratroopers here. After you bounce off this next paratrooper, shoot two fireballs to take out the piranha plant and hammer bro combo. Take the bottom route here. If this bro happens to move bottom, release B to walk and then shoot him. 8-2 is simple. Make sure when you land on this paratrooper that you are not too far to the left, because if you hit the first pixel of this vine block, it will stop you dead in your tracks and you will fall to your death. Eight 3 is also easy with fire. At the end, slow down on the first elevator and use the raised second one to get to the flagpole. Eight 4 is a little tricky with Luigi. Buffer right and B and A for the opening. Once Luigi starts moving, briefly release and repress right on the D-pad. Jump off the bottom step. Duck slide under this second fire bar and don't progress until the powerup begins to fall downward. Bop this paratrooper and enter the pipe. In the water room, activate duck swimming and enter this hallway. Fireball this blooper, and once the firebar is crossing over the ground, start moving forward. You can save a slight amount of time if you fire kill the very first blooper, but sometimes he can swim to the right and fire killing him can be a little hard at that point. In the third room, as you are jumping, press left slightly to slow yourself down a bit. Jump at the wall and press left once Luigi hits the wall. In the fourth room, walk to the right and jump off the pipe. When jumping off this platform, make sure to not jump too high since that can reset the maze. Yes, this part is a maze. At the end of the hallway, jump and hold left as you're ascending to avoid taking damage to the red paratrooper. Fireball the red paratrooper and bounce off the blue one. In the final room, all you have to do in order to achieve this floor kip is to simply run off the ground here. Duck under Bruce if necessary. Fire killing Bowser can be challenging if he decides to walk towards you. Fire kill him as fast as you can. In 9-1, fireball this red paratrooper as well as the 3 red piranha plants that follow. Fire kill the Lakitu, and after the cannon land on the ground and activate duck swimming. Stay low to avoid getting hit by these bloopers. Buffer and A press to start swimming immediately at the start. Land on this pipe and activate duck swimming. Keep duck swimming to the end of the level. Nine 3 is one of the easiest levels in the game. Just make sure when you get to this pipe here to jump through the hole and take the top path. Don't find yourself dancing with the dog. When approaching the flagpole, do a small jump about a block's worth of distance away from the edge. Just like in 9-2, buffer an A input to begin swimming at the start. If you are not small, take damage to this blooper so you don't have to get hit twice by a plant in 9-1. The rest of the level is very easy. We are going to try and grab a mushroom at the start of A-1. First off, jump into the question mark block and hold left as you're brushing along it. Kick the left Koopa and hit the mushroom block. Stand under the hole, and right before the mushroom meets the halfway point of the two rightmost blocks, run and jump into the mushroom. Buffer another jump after the mushroom grab to land up top. Sometimes it can be insanely hard to avoid getting hit by the Hammer Bros, depending on where they land. Don't be too shocked if you get hit here. If the first paratrooper is bouncing to the right, jump over him. If he is bouncing to the left, slide under him. At the end, bop the second and third Koopas to land on the final platform. When you get to this platform, slow down on it for a moment and slide down to the bottom. Grab the fire flower and shoot 2 fireballs to take out some piranha plants. Duck jump over the piranha plants that survive your fire shots. On the top of this staircase, shoot 2 fireballs when Luigi is at the halfway point to take out the next piranha plant. Don't shoot this hammer bro until you're right next to him. If you shoot him too early, his hammer will fly to the right and you will have a hard time not getting hit by that. The key part to A-3 is making sure to not race flying fish. Always wait for Cheep Cheeps that will likely land right on you. Sometimes the spring at the end can despawn. If this happens, absolutely do not land on it. You will soft lock and have to wait for the timer to run out. After sliding under this fire bar, release B to slow yourself down once there is a potaboo up ahead. Take these potaboos very safe, and duck jump off the final pillar. When approaching this bullet cannon, pay close attention to when a bullet bill may strike. Only jump when either you are directly in front of the launcher or when a bullet shoots. Don't try to make a big jump and clear this pit over the last launcher, as you could get hit by a troll bill. Once you enter the bridge, release B to slow yourself down for the Bowser kill. When you get to this part, you cannot go above these bricks since there is an invisible coin block. You will go through the blocks adjacent to these and potentially die. Instead, release B to slow yourself down and fire kill the paratroopa. Sometimes, this plant snipe can be hard since a paratroopa will spawn occasionally. In B-2, we will be using a mix of duck swimming and normal swimming. When you enter this hallway, duck swimming isn't crucial, but it can make it easier to avoid landing on the ground and losing time. Deactivate duck swimming at the end of the hallway and shoot any potential enemies that are at the top of the screen. On this wall, reactivate duck swimming. Sometimes this blooper can swim to the right and it can be a real pain to get by him. If he does this, try to swim low and along the coral until he moves a safe distance away. When you get to these coins, a troll Cheep Cheep can spawn. If this happens, quickly land on the ground to reactivate normal swimming and shoot him. Reactivate duck swimming and only challenge this elevator if it is really high up on the screen. Before this big firebar, land on the ground once more to get fireballs back. You want your fireballs for the end because enemies like to spawn in front of the exit pipe. Duck jump off this question mark block and land on the bottom. After these two pipes, do a full jump off the platform and remain at the top of the remainder of the level. When jumping to this elevator, try your best to land as far left as possible, since a bullet bill can be right in your path and hit you if you don't jump out of the way in time. At the start of B-4, buffer right and B and A. As you land on this step, release right and then hold right again upon landing on the bottom step. You want to jump over the top half of this fire bar, since if you don't, it will hit you. Land on the left edge of this fire bar block. Then, do a full jump. When you're on this platform, don't unduck until the platform is as far to the right as it will go. If you unduck very early, Luigi will slide through the wall and his on-screen position will be far to the right, making it hard to dodge obstacles. Jump over the final fire bar, and once the lava is just about disappeared from the left side of the screen, shoot your opening shots. Remember to release B once you arrive at the bridge to make the fight easier. In C-1, we will be using a pipe glitch to skip most of the stage. On the bottom pipe, position Luigi so his right foot is barely on the pipe in its entirety. Then, very briefly tap right and then do a full jump. Once Luigi is lined up with the top pipe, hold right and immediately after that, start spamming A to go deeper into the pipe. This is a hard trick that will take a good amount of practice to get good at. At the beginning of C-2, do a high jump off the small staircase to manipulate this blooper to swim away from you. Sometimes the fish can make it a real pain to get through this part. Once Luigi is lined up with the third coin, start pressing left until he is just about on the spring, and then hold right. If you keep your full speed, you will land on the right side of the final tree before the flagpole. C-3 is mostly identical to 7-3. For our first landing, hold left when the timer says 385 and 382. Start holding right once Luigi appears on screen again, while also shooting at Lakitu. For the next landing, start tapping left once the third pair of blocks appears. The third landing, after this pipe, use the 3 key notes in the music to time your left presses. Unless you are way over on the left edge of this spring, you should be able to skip the last spring and land right on the coins. You will have to play the second half of C-4 a little differently than 7-4. Play the first half the same. Note that there is an extra fire bar at the start. After these Buzzy Beetles, land as far left as you can on these blocks and do a full duck jump. As long as you don't bonk here, you should land on the right side of this fire bar. Pop the second Buzzy Beetle, then for this next fire bar, wait until it is lined up with the halfway point on this wall. Once it is lined up, move forward and make sure you are ducking when falling off the wall. If you're not ducking, you will most likely get hit by the fire bar. Jump off the left side of this fire bar to land as far left as possible on the next part. This way, you have plenty of room to time your jump if a flame is level with you. Same as the 7-4 fight, wait until the lava is nearly completely off the left side of the screen before shooting your opening shots. Just before Luigi reaches the end of the ground here, do a medium jump to land on the right side of this paratroopa. Landing too far to the left will result in him hitting these bricks above and falling into the pit. Wait on this launcher until after a bullet bill shoots. Do a small jump off this third brick as there is an invisible walnut mushroom directly above it, and you don't want to bonk your head on that. Go above this pipe before shooting this paratroopa. Release B to walk for a bit, since that will make shooting this enemy much easier. Jump over this paratroopa, and once Luigi is covering the coin count, shoot a fireball to kill the piranha plant. When jumping off this pipe, shoot another fireball to take out a hammer bro. If the second hammer bro here is directly below the bricks, it's best to do a small duck jump because he can throw a hammer and hit you. In D-2, jump to the top path here. You don't want to go bottom since you'll risk getting hit by the piranha plant. When bouncing off the spring, don't hold right initially if you have full momentum. Hold right again once Luigi is about to land on this block. After this launcher, shoot 2 fireballs to wipe out the hammer bros, if they happen to be in your way. If a hammer bro goes below the question mark blocks, do small duck jumps to avoid any ascending hammers. Land as far to the left as possible on this cannon, as sometimes the tallest cannon can shoot a troll build right as you're landing. Hold left as you land on the spring, since you need to give yourself enough space away from the red Koopa Troopa. The hammer bro that follows can also sometimes jump, so be aware of that. If you have fire entering D-4, do not damage boost through this fire bar. We're going to try and keep the flower to the last room. Once the fire bar is nearly lined up with this lava, start running onward. Slide under the small fire bar and wait for the Podoboo to fall down. This last fire bar can have varying positions also. In the overworld, do a small duck jump on the hammer bro. These 2 paratroopas can be troublesome. If they are both bouncing towards you, jump over the first one and shoot the second one. If they are bouncing away from you, do a big jump over both of them. At the end, slow down ever so slightly on the top of the staircase, and make the big jump to the pipe. In the final room, take damage to these bloopers. Once you run off these stairs, release right and do small jumps to the top of the screen. Wait on the Podoboo and Bowser, and finally grab that axe. It is now time to go over the many places where we can recover power-ups in. Just before Luigi meets the first question mark block, hold left to start sliding. Then, hit the middle question mark block to reveal the mushroom. Next, grab the power star so you can blaze through the piranha plants. On this tree, there is an invisible fire flower that you can collect. In 2-3, there is a mushroom in the very first question mark block on the top row. Grab the mushroom by landing on the bridge to the right and jumping into the mushroom. In 2-4, kick the Koopa to the right to wipe out the triple Goombas below. 9 times out of 10, the shell will come back for revenge. On this staircase, reveal the fire flower and grab it, unless you don't feel like it. If you enter 3-1 small, you can bop this hammer bro without worrying about him killing you. In the big row of question mark blocks, the very first one has a mushroom in it. After hitting it, stand below this brick. Once the mushroom meets the left edge of the double cloud, run forward and buffer a jump during the power-up animation. The first question mark block here has our fire flower. Never try to grab the flower from the left side of these blocks. Hold left briefly when making these next few jumps so that piranha plants can be fire killed. If you are too fast, the plants will pop out at the perfect time where you cannot shoot them, but will still take damage. Before the double elevator here, there will be an invisible mushroom block. In 3-4, at the end of the first maze section, there will be an invisible power-up block. This one can be a little annoying to acquire thanks to Luigi's jump and acceleration. In 4-1, the furthest question mark block in this row will have the first power-up. On this staircase, hold left for a little longer than normal while jumping here, since you can't kill the Spiny. The second power-up is located in the second question mark block here. A lot of times, releasing B before the power-ups can make it easier to slow down without relying on Luigi's butter shoes. "5-2 is a very nice stage to re-grab power-ups. The first one is located at the very start. Take this piranha plant slow, and run through the bottom of the level for a bit. A flower can be found in this first brick. The 5-4 mushroom grab can surely be hard. After hitting it, make sure you land on the fire bar block. If you land on the ground instead, the fire bar below could kill you. In 6-1, the very first brick has a mushroom in it. Hit the third brick to not only wipe out the Buzzy Beetle, but to obviously make it up there to grab the thing. There are two power-ups in 6-3. The first one can be revealed by bouncing off the red paratroopa under the question mark block. For the second one, bop the Koopa Troopa and hit the block that way. After grabbing the fire flower, land on the left side of the block to have more room for building speed. If you happen to enter 7-1 small, bop the first Koopa. Brush against the first upside down pipe and do a small jump over the green Koopa. After this piranha plant, there is a brick which possesses a star. Grabbing the star will make the last half of this stage tremendously easier. It should last you almost to the flag. In the first room, wait on the elevator and hit the question mark block to reveal the mushroom. In the second room, make your way up top and hit the first brick on the top row, which has a fire flower. After the third spring, slow down when you see this question mark block, and grab the mushroom. Make sure to avoid scrolling the screen too far to the right. Since we slowed down, there is a chance that wind can behave rather strange, so we will land on this extra spring. It can be hard to have full momentum on the spring, so we will land safely on this row of coins. In 7-4, there is a power-up near this fire bar below the elevators. In 8-1, hit the 7th question mark block to reveal a mushroom. Wait until these two paratroopas are out of the way. The next power-up is after the Hammer Bro / Piranha Plant combo. It is best to perform a buffer jump out of the power-up animation, much like in 3-1. If you enter 8-4 small, buffer right plus B plus A at the start. Once Luigi starts moving right, release right on the D-pad. Once Luigi is almost, but not quite, at a stop, hold right again and jump off the bottom step. Under this firebar, release B to wait out the potaboo. In the water room, start moving towards the last firebar once it is pointed at you. The third room is where our first power-up lies. It resides on the left wall here. The second power-up is at the end of the fourth room. Slow down at the end of the hallway and jump over the two paratroopas. You can also bounce on one of them to make the leap easier. The power-up is invisible and is above the pipe entry. The mushroom in A-3 is hidden just past the second blooper, on this little cloud. In A-4, the question mark block at the beginning has a fire flower. As you are falling downward here, start holding left so you don't slide into the lava. Since Luigi is a little slow compared to Mario, we will wait until the big fire bar is out of our way before we proceed with the flower grab. The first power-up in B-1 is located in the third question mark block here. For this paratrooper, you are going to have to release B earlier so you can walk under him. In this row of 3 question mark blocks, the third one has a fire flower. These hammer bros at the start of D-1 can be scary if you're small. If one hammer bro happens to jump to the bottom, quickly release and repress B so you can jump after the hammer is thrown. Before the paratrooper here, this brick will have the mushroom. You want this to potentially damage boost through the last 2 hammer bros. Once the paratrooper is under the first smiley face in the clouds, backwards jump onto the next block and move onward. You'll most likely get hit by one of these hammer bros. This power-up can be a nightmare to collect. Once there are no bullet bills in your way, quickly hit the block and grab the power-up. It's pretty rare to make it through the stage without getting hit, but it is certainly possible. In the first room of D-4, there is a mushroom located before the first POTA booth, on this wall. After the grab, play the rest of D-4 the same way we went over just a few minutes ago. You made it! Congrats on getting to the end of this tutorial. As you can see, this is a very tough speedrun. The strategies I went over in this video should surely grant you a time of under 38 minutes with loads removed. You can afford 1 or maybe even 2 hits plus recoveries and still securely achieve a 37-minute run. Thanks for watching.